Hi guys, welcome to Cinema Reportage. Today, we're diving into the story of the greatest beer run ever. This film follows the incredible journey of one man who left New York City in 1967 to bring beer to his childhood buddies who were fighting in Vietnam. Join us as we explore the journey of this heartwarming story and the impact it left on those who made it happen. But be warned, in this video we'll be diving deep into the plot and discussing spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film yet, you may want to come back later. Without further ado, let's dive into it. In 1967, John Chickie Donohue, a former Marine, is hanging out at a bar in Inwood, New York City with his closest friends. The bar is owned by a man known as the Colonel, who brings to Chickie's attention that he has an outstanding debt. Chickie is depicted as a lazy individual living with his parents, grandmother, and sister Christine. One morning, Christine comes into the kitchen in tears, informing the family that an old friend, Johnny, has been killed in the Vietnam War. Christine opposes the war, but Chickie and his father, who also served in the military, are vocal supporters of the troops. Chickie attends Johnny's funeral with his friends and learns that another close friend, Tommy Minogue, has been reported missing in action. As he steps out of the funeral home, Chickie reflects on the memories of chasing after a cab with Tommy. After the funeral, Chickie and his friend Red come across a group of people, including Christine, protesting against the war and President Lyndon B. Johnson's draft while they walk by the park. Chickie and Red engage in a heated argument with Christine and her friends as they believe their friends who are serving overseas are heroes, while the others view them as being forced to fight and die against their will. The disagreement escalates into a physical altercation with some of the crowd members, and Red gets knocked out, so Chickie has to carry him away. Back at the bar, Chickie and his friends, including Red and the Colonel, discuss ways to uplift the spirits of their friends who are serving in Vietnam. They express a desire to give them a sense of enjoying a beer like they are currently doing. This sparks an idea in Chickie's mind to go to Vietnam himself and deliver some beers to his friends. However, Chickie's tendency to talk about doing something but never following through on his plans, such as finishing high school, leads his friends to doubt his intentions and not expect him to actually go to Vietnam. Chickie's plan to go to Vietnam to deliver beer to his friends catches the attention of Tommy's mother, who visits the Donahues and requests that he give Tommy his dog tags when he finds him. Feeling a sense of responsibility, Chickie decides to follow through with his plan. He procures a large duffel bag from the Colonel and packs it with cans of beer. Despite Christine's efforts to discourage him, knowing the dangers of the trip, Chickie sets off on his journey. He takes a boat to Vietnam, and his first stop is to locate his friend Tommy Collins. He convinces Collins' fellow soldiers to let him through by offering them beers. Chickie finds Collins, who is overjoyed to see him. He spends the night at the camp, drinking and listening to music, until the superior officer walks in and accuses him of being a CIA agent. With the help of Collins' buddies, Chickie comes up with a plan to reach the other guys. Although Collins thinks the plan is crazy, Chickie is determined to see it through. As he continues his journey, Chickie stops at the Caravel Hotel in Saigon, where he encounters other Americans and British citizens at the bar, including a war photographer named Arthur Coates. While Chickie continues to express his support for the war, the others do not share the same views. When he mentions needing to get to LZ Jane, the bartender informs him that only the military can get across certain parts of the country. Chickie then finds a military caravan and hitches a ride. Chickie travels to a military base where he convinces the soldiers that he is a CIA agent and requires special transportation. He is flown to LZ Jane, where he is searching for his friend, Rick Duggan. When Duggan is ordered to meet him at the same location, he is forced to run out in the open, exposing himself to enemy fire. When Chickie surprises him, Duggan expresses anger at Chickie for putting him in danger for the sake of some beer. He also criticizes himself for being foolish enough to enter a war zone for this mission. Chickie joins Duggan and his squad as they fight against the Viet Cong. During the night, he passes out beers to Duggan and the other soldiers while they are in the trenches. Duggan also informs Chickie that one of the friends he was looking for, Reynolds, is already dead. The next morning, Chickie takes a photograph with Duggan and his squad, which he is given as a keepsake. The two friends say their goodbyes as Duggan and his squad must continue to move forward and fight the enemy. Chickie is put on a helicopter with 2 CIA agents and a prisoner. The agents interrogate the man for information, threatening to throw him out of the helicopter if he doesn't cooperate, which terrifies Chickie. Even after the prisoner gives them the information they want, the agents throw him out of the helicopter. Upon arriving at the base, Chickie's true identity is questioned by the agents. He requests a ride to Saigon in order to catch a boat back home, but is told by an officer that he may have to escort him. As he looks outside, he realizes that the officer is driving a prison caravan and that the agents are after him. Chickie flees into the woods, evading their pursuit. As he continues on foot, he comes across a child who is frightened by his presence. He reflects on his past with Tommy, regretting that he had convinced him to enlist in the draft. As night falls, Chickie stumbles upon a herd of elephants fleeing from napalm. He is rescued by an old friend, Kevin Looney McClune, who, despite his orders to move in the opposite direction, gives Chickie a ride back. Chickie is put on a chopper and hands McClune his beer. In Saigon, Chickie seeks assistance from a local named Hugh, whom he had met previously. Hugh guides him to the U.S. Embassy and even offers to visit him in New York. Chickie meets a woman at the embassy who helps him secure a spot on a plane to Manila the following day. Chickie returns to the Caravel Hotel, where he finds Coates and the other journalists from earlier still drinking in the same spot. He shows them the photograph of himself at LZ Jane to prove that he had completed his mission. Coates buys Chickie drinks and they talk about their thoughts on the ongoing war and their role in documenting it. Suddenly, an explosion is heard as the Viet Cong launch an attack. Chickie and Coates run out together and find themselves in the middle of chaos, with dead bodies strewn across the streets, including Hugh's. As they hide, Chickie sees an American tank firing in the streets. They are eventually able to proceed by identifying themselves as part of the press. As the sun rises, Chickie and Coates continue to move. Coates takes photographs of the aftermath of the bloodshed, which deeply affect Chickie and make him question his previous stance on the war. They drive to an army depot where Chickie searches for one last friend, Bobby Pappas. He is relieved to find that Pappas is alive, but injured. Pappas helps Chickie arrange a flight home, but confirms that Tommy is dead. Chickie gives Pappas his beer, says goodbye, and is flown home alongside the caskets of fallen soldiers. After returning home from Vietnam, Chickie is greeted warmly by his friends and the colonel at the bar. However, he tells them that his perspective on the war has changed. He visits Mrs. Minogue, the mother of his friend who was killed in action, to return Tommy's tags. He expresses regret for encouraging him to enlist and admits it is his fault that he is gone. Mrs. Minogue comforts him and tells him it isn't his fault. Chickie then sits in a park among tributes for soldiers, where he is joined by his sister Christine. He gives her his last beer and reflects on the fate of his friends. The text reveals that Tommy, Rick, Kevin, and Bobby all made it home safely and have since mostly quit drinking. Chickie went on to finish high school and graduate from Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. He became a tunnel builder and a legislative and political director. The final images show the real Chickie at LZ Jane and his friends as they appear today. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting content like this, and leave a comment down below to let us know what you thought of the film. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.